week. Obviously, 4 weeks of fall camp behind us. I thought our guys handled it very well. Just to kind of get in the first day of classes here, you always kind of deal with a bunch of that. So had our first practice out there today. Literally just ran off practice about 45 minutes ago. I would say, injury updates, really everybody's back with us. JC practiced Saturday, practiced today. Didn't have any issues, felt good about that. Got a couple of our guys back from some soft tissue. There's some guys, maybe 2s and 3s that we'll see how they handle this week to see where it's at, but nobody really of significance or of note. Western Illinois, Coach Davis, a guy that I've known indirectly through some people, and obviously I know last year to be a 4A football team, but to have that program turn the way it did, and they scored a lot of points at the end of the year. I think we counted up, we have somewhere 57 new players on their roster, so we got a lot of fluid personnel. They got some good personnel coming back from a year ago. I think the strength of their program is their coaches that have got a mission and a plan, and obviously began to see that at the end of last year. But super excited to see our guys get out there. Just want to say thank you to the fans. Obviously, we've set all kinds of recent records for tickets that have been sold, purchased for the season, student tickets, regular tickets, everything from A to Z. So obviously they're purchased, they're in their hands. Now we just got to get everybody to the stadium. Obviously a 6:30 kickoff on a Friday night, a little bit unusual, but super excited to get out there and see where that fan base is. And we're kind of building a routine this first week, just like I'm sure fans will be as well. It's always a little bit unusual when we have these odd start dates, right? So a Friday night versus a Saturday, but same thing with our guys, right? Today it's a Monday on your schedule, but it's really a Tuesday of our game week. So even for me to come over here today, usually I don't have anything on Monday with our pressers, but we just got done with practice. So to come up here and talk to you guys is a little bit out of my norm, but it's one we got to adjust to. So with that, I'll open it up for some questions.
But I'm curious, what's this like for you to capitalize on the momentum you guys had a year ago and ride that through ride that through the summer and into the fall?
I appreciate it, and obviously it's there, it's buzzed about, it's talked about. I think since we've come back to fall camp, we've really tried to have our players focus on the now, and it's great chatter from the outside world. I think because it's so new to Illinois, it's really created more buzz than it really is. But obviously you earn your expectations, and we've done a lot of really good things, kept a lot of really good players, got a lot of good coaches coming back, but every opportunity is a new one to kind of earn for our respect this year, right? I know that obviously Bob had a time about our preseason rankings, right? But it was brought to my attention there were several that didn't even rank us, right? So I think our success is temporary in people's eyes, right? So I think for us to go out there and prove it this week against Western Illinois is the first step, and hopefully gaining some respect that Josh and I got together the first time ever we talked about sustainable success, and I think this is a big step in the right direction, but obviously this year is a big part of that.
Coach, what do you like about scheduling these in-state FCS programs, Eastern last year,
Yeah.
Western, and future schedules too, some more of them lined up?
Yeah, it's something that I kind of, during my career and watched through some other schools when I came here to Illinois. I did obviously know a lot about Donnie Patterson, who was a guy I was extremely close to, was the head coach of Western Illinois at one point. Mark Henderson, I have his son Myers on my staff, was as well. Thomas Hammock being at Northern Illinois, being familiar with Southern Illinois, Eastern Illinois. Coach Kill had been a really good coach at Southern Illinois, a guy that I got very close with during my coaching career early on. So I knew there was a lot of directional schools in our state that would be great opportunities for us to kind of lock into those schools early on, and especially when there was such an influx of what was going on in college football, 8, 9 regular season games, and the Big Ten locking it in. So I kind of went to Josh and Roger and said, hey, if we could do this and have those games kind of be part of our schedules moving forward, I thought it'd be something good for them and us, and obviously it's played out.
So you like these gravy games?
These what?
I had a story, they called it the gravy game for the smaller school to come in and get the paycheck and play these.
Yeah, well, I think, twofold. The Big Ten Conference passed, the 9-game schedule several years ago, and that probably opened up the door for these FCS teams and opportunities for them to play. But I would tell you that Western Illinois, this is their, they play us and Northwestern back to back, so I don't think they see it as anything other than an opportunity to come in and play on a big scale, and that's what we see it as. Very excited to see our guys compete. We've been going against each other a long time, so to get to go against an opponent that I think last year at the end of the year was playing really good football, especially offensively. They've actually brought in a new defensive coordinator. Coach was the head coach of Alpo and was very accomplished, especially on the defense side of the ball. So we've been repping and prepping that really since last January to get where we are today.
It sounds like health-wise, exited camp in a pretty good spot. Did you accomplish the things on the field that you were looking to get done in August?
We had so many veteran players that returned a lot of experience, but we were trying to balance in, new players that were freshmen and new players that were transfers from other places, right? So to get everybody to think as one, to get everybody to understand what our expectations were on a daily basis was a huge part of our camp. I think that happened. But even like today, met with my staff this morning at 6:30 this morning on what we wanted to accomplish today. We met last night about 7:30, modified and tweaked the practice a little bit, and then made the adjustments this morning. So I think the part that I've really enjoyed as a head coach is no day in your season is the same. And it doesn't matter how many players you got back or how many coaches you got back, you got to handle today with authenticity. And our guys really have done really good in fall camp, but the proof will be in the putting this product.
What specifically do you want to see from your team in both sides of the
Our team? Yeah. Well, in all three phases, offense, defense, special teams, I think you'd want to play clean early on, right? I made an edit. We got together Saturday night because that's a Sunday of our game week, right? So I made an edit of Kansas State and Iowa State had played that day. There were some things that happened early in that game. Some new things in college football. There was a very significant point where an Iowa State player was going off the field. They spotted the ball right behind him. They took a timeout off. That actually happened also in the Stanford and Hawaii game. At the end of the first half, actually to start the Hawaii-Stanford game, there was a guy that fair caught a ball off the turf, and all of a sudden the ball spotted on the 1 yard line. The next play was a sack turnover, touchdown for Stanford. All of a sudden they're up 10-0, midway through the first quarter. Hawaii didn't, do anything but handle the moment. Got a score right at the end of the half, and that end of half score was presented because of an opportunity that a defensive player got a personal foul that kind of gave them new life. So a lot of really good football, and then to have that game get decided on the last second walk-off field goal with 3 seconds there's really good learning in all these early games for all of us. So I try to maximize those moments. And then also the pro game's going on quite a bit too. So there's some good learning moments. So I think the biggest thing for us is to go out and play Illinois type football. We know there's going to be some new guys doing new things, but try to play as clean and as to script as we possibly can.
Right. How do you envision what this running game could be for you guys, and what gives you optimism about that particular part of the game?
Well, I'm excited, obviously, to return to Aiden and Caden and Khalil Valentine. Those three have really, Khalil was out for a couple days, but is back with us. He looks extremely explosive. I think those three guys give us something that we've already kind of seen, and to see them gel with the offensive line, even though all those old linemen are back, that they've never had the fall camp that they just had. I think the addition of our tight ends hopefully can bring a little bit to us in the running game. We're not going to be operating just solely out of 11 personnel, right? So I think to have that in our bag of tricks is going to be good. And then just the composure of Luke at the line of scrimmage. A lot of times defenses will give you certain things, give you certain looks, and a quarterback, now there's headset communication, but that's off 15 seconds. But a quarterback a lot of times can put you, as crazy as it sounds, he can put you in effective run plays. And I think Luke's ability to do that line of scrimmage is pretty good.
You mentioned the injury timeout rule. That's a change, or an emphasis,
Huge.
I guess. Yeah, that happened. I think K-State, Iowa State game happened. What do you think about that? Because it's affected you in the past, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So I was a huge advocate that, like, obviously I knew that was going on. They were talking a lot about feigning injuries. It really wasn't a problem in our league, but we had it out here. The last time it was an issue in our conference was out here against Michigan State. There was a conference-wide news bulletin that came out after that game, and it really hasn't been an issue in our league, but the powers that be had changed the rules. And I think the other one that really jumped out to me is sometimes we make rules that they have inadvertent results, right? And I just know for us, we've had a lot of end of half, end of game scenarios where we've done really well, and a lot of it's because we've effectively managed our timeouts, and we've got opportunistic players. Super excited. I was literally running late here because I was making a early down edit for Ethan Hampton, because now we start our game preparation as quarterbacks, and to have Ethan and Carson and Luke kind of do those reports on early down, third down, end of half, end of game. But this one's really big, right? Like the rule when it was first proposed to us, it was going to be that if you had this situation play out, it was either going to be a 5-yard penalty or a timeout.
Okay.
And then it transitioned to that it was just a timeout, and that just really to me made no sense whatsoever. So I appealed it to the highest levels. I went right away to Bill Carollo. I went to National Rules Committee, tried to get it so it kind of went back to that, but they had already sailed that ship and weren't allowed to change it. They do think it'll change back to next year, but I just think, there's going to be a point in time, and I think the clip of that game, especially Iowa State, Kansas State, the kid was legitimately looked like injured, and he's trying to, limp off the field, and all of a sudden you're losing a timeout, and it's unintentional. The kid's not trying to do it. They're not trying to mismanage the situation, and the result is now a team loses a timeout, and that did get down to a game-ending, one-score game. I would just hate for a game to be decided because of a rule that need to be implemented without completely having an understanding of what they were doing. So I'm just hopeful that it doesn't catch somebody in the wrong situation at the wrong time.
Coach, what are some things to establish kind of a routine when you have a Friday night game that kind of throws it off kilter a little bit? What are some things you do to try to establish a routine?
Great point. So on all of our schedules, like literally today's a Monday, but it's slashed and it's written in different color Tuesday, right? So even though, today we're coming in the building, it's Monday, first day of classes. For us at practice, it's a Tuesday. Tomorrow's a Wednesday. Wednesday is a Thursday is a Friday, and then Friday's game day, right? So we just kind of have always done that as coaches. Guys lock into that. I even heard guys that haven't played for us in the past talked about this being a Tuesday practice. I came home on Sunday night and made reference to being a Sunday. My wife's like, no, it's Monday. I'm like, oh, you're good. So I mean, we got Jen locked into it. So I think that's just kind of how we as coaches operate, kind of become a creature of habit. So the more we can get that done, the better we'll be. But it's bottom line, it's the first time we'll take the field as a unit, offense, defense, special teams, with all my coaches, all my support staff. We had a mock game out here with all the band, right? So the band is different, the cheerleaders are different, the timing is different. We got pre-game introductions. Those 12 guys have never been introduced that way together. So there's just a bunch of nuances, but hopefully they're good ones in the end.
With JC, do you envision any potential pitch count for him on Friday, or?
Well, I think Friday depends a lot about, like today was his most reps by far, right? But he took all the team today, didn't have any issues. But obviously, if there's any issue tomorrow, then we do that. I think in general, in this opener, there's probably anybody that's had any limitations in practice, just a general awareness of pitch count, if they come in a big dose or how they play. I was watching one of those early games this past weekend, and there was an 18-play drive, right? I think anytime you're in an 18-play drive, and if you got a guy that's been in it that whole time as a head coach, you just got to have an awareness, like, hey, do we want to, sub something out here? So, I've been doing this a while. Fortunately for me, I've seen a lot of things, but every game presents something new I've never seen before, and you got to handle the moment.
I'm curious about the size of the staff now. So obviously 2 assistants at every position. Does that change your game week at all?
Oh.
Having all these guys, it has to be different, right?
Yeah. I give Josh and his crew a lot of credit because they allowed us to do that. We just can efficiently work so much better. Today, Western Illinois is going to go tempo. They love to play upbeat tempo. They snap the ball sometimes less than 15 seconds, especially within a series. They do a lot of things with the tempo of the ball. So now we had 2 huddles running at us off a card scripted, right? So we're doing everything we can to mimic and accentuate what they do offensively, and same thing for us when we go tempo. Now you can have 2 huddles to work against. So yeah, there's a lot of positives, and then also just the detail of yes, we're playing Western Illinois, right, but their tackle last year, 79, played tackle and guard, right and left, right. He's now wearing number 55 and is out there, right. Like, we've been able to take the plays from him a year ago and put and not only show our guys that are going against him, but it allows Big Island, right? He's emulating them on the offense side. So now he watches all those clips of that player doing those things last year. They got a transfer from Wisconsin, so we tried to find film on him, even going back to high school. With 57 new guys, right? We're grabbing film from all over, any resources we can to show them where we're at, right? Like, they have a transfer corner from UNI. We brought Mark Farley on board about 2 weeks ago. Mark's now on our staff, and right, he's a guy that not only saw him play, but coached that guy for 2 years, right? So there's a lot of things that with the staff expansion, it's really allowed us to do certain things. But also Ben Miller, a guy that started with me as my tight ends coach and special teams coordinator. Now he is kind of in our personnel department, but also working with me as a head coach. Like, nobody knows what I want and what I expect in a game management more than Ben Miller. And to have his continuity with me the last 4 years has just been worth its weight in gold. So there's so many variations, Robert, to in my opinion, as coaches, using our staff effectively. Like, everybody wants to know how we're going to use our players, but to me, my guiding light every day is how do I use my staff to efficiently get what we need to get done.
And that was gonna be my follow-up, is like, on game day, is it different on the headsets? I mean, like,
Yeah.
so many more staffers, how do you organize that?
Yeah, so last year, just a little thing, we didn't hire Dana Dimmel until literally right before fall camp, so he really was becoming familiarized with Barry and how we called it offensively a work in progress through the first 2, 3, 4 games, right? And I kind of heard it more and more each game. When we hired Mike New last spring, it was very evident to me how quickly Mike caught on to things, and him and Barry have really established a great relationship, and with my offense side of the ball, so they've got the continuity of the spring, and now through fall camp, it's just, I think there's a lot of things that are helping our coaches get things done in a more efficient manner. And then the bottom line, when last year when we had sideline technology come into the game, the ability to use in-game adjustments with things that you see literally right after the play is done has changed the game, in my opinion, dramatically, that a lot of people don't understand or don't know.
Coach, there's bound to be some hiccups, growing pains in week one. Which of those are normal? You say, okay, it's week one, and what mistakes do you not want to see?
Yeah, well, I say it all the time, and you guys probably have heard me say it. Like I always say, more games are lost than won, right? But in college football, there are no ties, right? So if you have 100 college football games, there's 50 winners and 50 losers, right? I just think that a lot of times there are 3 things that cause teams to lose games: penalties, mental errors, and turnovers, right? And if you look back at us, even as recent as last year, right, the games that we found failure were things that we probably had a significant increase in those 3 key areas, right? It always isn't just a bullet point, this is the reason, this is what it is, but they're usually a big factor into it. I showed the Kansas State Iowa State game, 2 coaches that I have tremendous respect for, Coach Kleiman at Kansas State and Coach Campbell at Iowa State. I just have known those guys for a while. They're extremely talented coaches, and their turnovers were 2 and 2. But the critical moments of those turnovers, right? Like there was a muff punt right at the beginning of the game, right? Then they turned the ball over, didn't capitalize on it. There was an end-to-half score. There was an end-of-game series that was really, really big. But I believe it was 6-1 penalties, 6 penalties on Kansas State, 1 on Iowa State. So that was obviously a significant factor. In the second half rushing, I believe Kansas State had 110 plus yards, and Iowa State had 110 plus yards, and Kansas State was less than 15, right? And I really believe, good teams can run the ball, defend the run, and cover kicks, and that was a big part of that game, right? So not that math always adds up to what you want it to, but usually it's a good indicator.
We
Do
talk-
one more after this one.
talked a lot about retention for your team, and I think we've looked at that through the lens of production well, what's it done for you to be able to retain a lot of your 2 deep, and how do you do that when you have so many returners?
I had a pretty significant meeting yesterday with my personnel staff, and I kind of went through the evolution of where we are today. I walked in this building, didn't know Pat Hamilton, right? Didn't know a lot of things structured in this building. Brought Jay Kaiser in, who Jay now is with the Jags, but brought in a lot of personnel people. And the first and most important part of our program success will always be retention, right? Like I believe that we'll recruit, evaluate, and develop players as good as anybody, and that's all great if you can retain your players. So it all starts with retention. The second thing is removal, right? Like if there's a guy that can't fit into what we're doing, or he's a wrong fit either athletically or personally, or he's just a wrong fit for the program, removal is going to be a big part of college football. We're on a year-to-year roster development that has never been seen before, right? So those 2 are there. And then the third thing, which is the most important thing, is just an evaluation, acquisition of talent. And if we got a player that can stay and we keep him, if we have a player that can't get it done and removes himself, right? And then the third thing is to bring in the right player to replace them. That's going to be absolutely huge. Retention comes from 3 different sources, right? First one is easy one, revenue share and NIL. The second thing is relationships that we walk in the building every day. How we say hello and how we say goodbye to a player in the hallway every day is an important part of it. Not just to them, how it's our relationship with their parents, what's our relationship with their high school coaches, what's our relationship with their brother that acts like their father because the dad isn't in the picture, right? Whatever it is, relationships matter. And the third thing, the best thing, is just proven track record. Like I really do believe we retained a lot of our players last year because of the proven things we had done with players that had stayed, right? Like our players that stay usually have production in their last year and increase their draft status. To this point, we really haven't had a player leave our program and have success anywhere else, right? So that's not mean-spirited, that's not ill-spirited, it's just the facts, right? And You know, I think the part that we really point out to our guys is, hey, while you're here, you're going to be treated and taken care of a way that's the way I believe we need to do it. I get a tremendous amount of support from Josh and his crew. And if you want to go find something else that may be greener on the other pasture, right, like that's on you because you can't come back, right? And I think the value of having players that have stayed and been successful and having players that have left and really haven't ever achieved what they were if they had stayed here, that's a very valuable thing for us.
Coach, kicking off this season, can you just speak, big picture wise, can you just speak to the pieces that you think are in place here that are going to allow for sustained success?
We talking about this game or the season? Or?
Big picture, what pieces do you think over these 5 years you've put in place?
Without a doubt, right? I've been doing this. This is my 17th year as a head coach. The partnership with your athletic director is paramount. You know, and really a driving force. And I know we've talked about it. Was when I talked to Brad Underwood, and Brad talked about the way that Josh had supported him during those first couple of years to get him in his program. I've always admired talking with Brad because Brad's always been a few years ahead of where we are, and even though it's two different sports, like we do think a lot alike in how you build things and do. Now, I'm not going to Europe to do any extravagant recruiting, right? But I do believe that the principles of what he's been able to do, and then what we've been able to instill here. You know, I distinctly remember having a conversation with Josh about like, hey, I'm not going to ask for you know, fancy uniforms or shoes, but I'm going to ask our guys to be supplied with the best fuel, the best hydration, the best recovery tools. Ironically, we did the Michigan uniforms a year ago, so that was a little fancy. But for the most part, we've stayed script to that, and I think that's what's probably gotten me excited more than anything. Is just and to get our fan base. Like, I think our fan base is a fan of what we do. Everybody loves to win games, but you know, we've had five straight semesters over 3.0. Our kids have been pretty clean in the community. You know, we're not bringing negative imagery. You know, there's big donors that I meet, and I always kind of share with them, like, listen, I want to make you proud of what you give us, right? You've given us financial money, and that's easy to do, right? But I want them to be able to wear their sweatshirts, their t-shirts, and their hats, and talk about their other, with their other friends that make a lot of money, right? Like that they're proud of what Illinois has provided. And we may not win every game, but I know we fight to the end. There hasn't been. Obviously, Oregon game maybe was the first and only game that I can ever remember where it was kind of like I wasn't proud of the way we looked, you know, coming out. But for our kids, like, we play every down for what it is. We're in it to the end, and our guys give their all, and they represent the University of Illinois really proud. I saw a lot of stats during the out of season. One that jumped out to me: we had more students apply to the University of Illinois than anything in the history of the university 2 years in a row. I don't think that's a coincidence, right? I think the fact that you know, Illinois athletics is very prominent and presents itself in a way that is pretty awesome. The recognition that we've gotten from media coming in, the recognition our players have gotten from preseason awards, the way that the Block Eye has talked about, the way Illinois is featured at a level that's never been before, I don't think that's by chance.
Thank you, guys.